My boobs are sticking out.
Don't worry, I've made it so you can't see your nipples.
My boobs. I'll just push them up.
Get some views.
My OnlyFans starts tonight.
Oh dear. Anyway, right. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Game Chat. I'm Chris, and with me today we have Corey.
Hi guys, hello.
And today's main topic, at least, will be the Last of Us TV show, because it literally finished a few days ago for us. I like how on the bit that I've got, you can't see Pedro Pascal's like most of his face. You can just see half of it.
I can't. Yeah,
so you just move in your head, and you just see his mouth. But yeah, it finished a few days ago, and we just kind of want to talk about it and discuss how good it was. Really, I mean,
yeah, how very good it was. Yeah.
I mean, where do we want to start? Like.
Okay, let's just start. The very first thing is, in terms of video game adaptations, where do you put it?
It's the best one.
It is just, it's not a question.
By far. My only thing, like, there are video game shows which I feel are just as good, but they're not adaptations of the actual video game story.
No.
Like, I'll put, like, Arcane up there. It's just as good as this, but Arcane isn't an adaptation of the actual story of the game, League of Legends.
It's
so
not. It's different. I wouldn't
set in the universe.
Video game adaptation.
Yeah, it's a video game show, but not an adaptation. So
same thing as the Cyberpunk one. What's it? The
Edge Runners. Yeah,
Edge Runners. Yeah.
Even Sonic as well isn't an adaptation, really.
Not like this is. Like this is the most truthful adaptation. This is the second best video game adaptation after the 1993 powerhouse Super Mario Bros. The movie. Incredible film. Have you seen that?
I've seen bits.
Film. Oh mate, it's a great film. Me and Beth watched it again not long ago, and it's just so bad, it's great. But yeah, no, to be honest, this is the best one by a long way.
Like, there's nothing close to it in terms of actual adapting the game story. And to be honest,
the true story.
I think the main reason for this is the story's amazing anyway.
It just shows how well it was made to begin with.
Yeah, so like it's so well written. How
very cinematic the game itself was already, that it handed itself to this sort of adaptation very, very easily.
Yeah.
And as you're watching the show, you can if you've played the game, if like me you've played the game about 14 times.
Yeah.
You can see like every episode is a separate chapter in the game and how it works through. And of course some things are different, they're always going to be, but it's a very, very faithful adaptation. It's really cool.
I think the fact that the dialogue, a lot of dialogue is literally taken straight from the game, is a testament to how well the game was written as well, in terms of dialogue. Like, there's scenes that take straight from the game, and you're like, this works perfectly in TV as well as it does in the game. Like, it's just really good storytelling. So,
it's fantastic storytelling, and it's brilliant acting. So let's talk a bit about the acting before we get really into like the depth of it. This is going to be very spoilery, by the way. Like, if you haven't played it or seen The Last of Us, everything's going to get spoiled.
This is our season 1 review. So, like, if you haven't played The Last of Us, if you haven't watched the show, like,
firstly, what are you even doing here? Like, what the hell?
Spoilers galore.
Going to get done. Yeah,
literally, even even Last of Us 2, like, if it's referenced to what we're talking about, like, I'm going to talk about it, you know what I mean? It's not all spoilers, including all Last of Us media.
For both games, for sure, and DLC. But yeah, the acting was phenomenal. Ellie, everyone knew that Pedro Pascal was going to knock it out of the park, because it's Pedro Pascal, and he's an incredible actor.
Yes.
Nobody knew that Bella Ramsey was going to be as good as she was.
No.
And she was phenomenal. What a brilliant portrayal of Ellie.
And I think, like, Pedro Pascal's Joel is great, but for me, like, I do prefer the game Joel, but, like, I think he's brought a very different take he's brought a more vulnerable take to the character, I feel, and more willing to show that in the but obviously in the show.
Well, they're different people in the fact that Joel from the game is Joel from the game, and Joel from the game kills hundreds of people throughout the story of the game.
Yes.
And it makes more sense that he'd be a more cold, rugged individual than Joel from the TV show, because Joel kills people in the TV show. He does, and he does. He has all the iconic brutal moments that Joel has from the game, but he doesn't go around killing literal like gangs of dudes. Solo. It's not the same. It's not the same Joel. In that respect, is not an absolute mass murdering killing machine, and so the character is a little different in that respect. Like Pedro Pascal definitely brings more emotion to the table than the video game Joel for sure. Like like that moment where him and Tommy.
Mate, that
talking,
like,
and he just broke down.
He literally showed how vulnerable he was in that, and I feel like that was amazing. Like that was done way better than it ever had been done in the game.
Yeah, that's something we never ever got in the game. Really, not from Joel. The closest we got to that was Joel in The Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
a couple of the flashbacks that he had,
and even when he was having his little panic attacks, like you wouldn't have seen that in a game. Joel, like this Joel, I feel is more vulnerable, more emotionally open, I guess. I mean, he wasn't at the start. He was very closed off at the start. Very typical game Joel. But like as he opened up more and got closer to Ellie, and just kind of like throughout the show, he kind of got a bit more emotionally vulnerable in himself. Like you can tell he was going through
a lot of shit. And he's suffering from PTSD. Majorly, and that's what's causing a lot of his issues. And how he talked openly about how he's not what he used to be. Like how he fought that one guy after the truck crashed, and he said in his previous days he would have destroyed him easily, and but now he needed Eddie's help in order to not die from this guy, basically. And it kind of like it pushes more towards his and Eddie's relationship then, and it's more like they need each other more than Eddie just needs Joel, because in the game you don't. Like Joel could have done everything.
She saves him a couple of times, like, but not.
She does
as much in this
scenes as well. But in this, there's a couple of reoccurring moments where he desperately needs her help. Like at points
in this, I feel like as the show goes on, she brings out his humanity again.
Which you can tell he's not accessed for a very long time.
And he obviously he's reminding him of Sarah, his daughter, and stuff, and like I feel like he's definitely more affected through his relationship with Ellie in this than I feel like they ever were able to show in the game, because it's hard to show that in a video game. You know what I mean?
It's hard to show that. I mean, the thing is, in the video game you spend more time with them both. Like the game's longer than the combined episode count of the show. And you do miss out on a couple of little bits. So like when there's a lot of just quips that they make as they're walking and you just do normal gameplay. That you obviously can't get in a TV show because it's just not that long. But the fact of the way that they acted, the way that Pedro and Bella were both acting the characters, and the way that there's such a good job that they did it, they really brought it to the next level. And at the end, you really felt for Joel, and like, okay, this is in his mind and in his heart. This is his not replacement, but
it's a surrogate daughter at this point.
Very much so. And you can kind of see when that switch happens at a certain point in the episode. I think it's like episode 7 or such when they're It's a bit after Sam dies. Sam and what's his brother's name? I forget them both. Forget the older brother's name.
Henry and Sam.
Henry, of course. Henry and Sam die. After that, and then after that, he warmed up to a lot more. A lot more. It's just fantastic acting and a fantastic TV show. It's a 10-year-old story at this point. Look, if you don't know this story at this point, then you've kind of had to avoid it.
And also, to be fair, let's not lie. In terms of the general basics of the Last of Us story, it has been like used a lot in other media. I mean, you look at The Mandalorian; it's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? Like
you look at God of War, where it's the father-child relationship, and that's like PlayStation know what works. They know
PlayStation like daddies are in.
Daddies are in. Then Pedro Pascal is the perfect daddy at the moment. God, all over it.
talking about Bella Ramsey's performance as Ellie, I think she brings a more aggressive stance to her, and which I think fits well because of what's going to happen later, like in the second season, if they do, because the second season apparently is going to be multiple seasons, so we don't know when that's going to happen.
A lot more happens in the second.
It's a lot more detailed story.
Yeah, a lot more happens in that game.
But I feel like she definitely shows a lot more. She seems more aggressive and less innocent in terms of like she wants, like when she goes and kills that infected just in the thing and just stabbed him like
the one that's in the rubble,
psychopathic like you know what I mean, like it goes to show that, like, I mean, even when in the David episode when he's like she's got a violent heart, he's right, she does. Like she get it's weird, it's I kind of get the impression that she like when she sees Joel like beat that guy up at the start, like she's into it, you know what I mean, like she's like totally. I want someone who would be able to defend me like that, and she's into the violence of everything, so I think she definitely brought more of that twist.
It's the world she's born into. I'm not surprised in that when people are born into that sort of environment, that
it's fight or flight.
End up. Exactly. These are kids that have never seen the world beforehand. Joel knows the difference. Joel knows what it was like before, and he knows what it's like now, and he's had to grow and adapt to that, where she was just straight up born into it. It's very much like a Bane moment. I was born into the darkness.
Literally.
Yeah, and so of course you're going to grow up violent, as I imagine a lot of people would in that situation.
But I think
it's a very, very hard time to be.
Her character's a slightly different take to what it is in the game, and I think it's...
Yes. No, I agree.
It fits better knowing where the story's going to go. Like, they set her up to be that character later that she's going to be in what would be The Last of Us Part 2 story.
I think they're doing that well now because they've got the foresight.
They might not have...
What's going to happen.
Yeah, when they did the first game, they probably didn't know.
They didn't know.
So, but now they can set things up to make it feel a bit more natural. The turn, especially for her. Yeah,
no, exactly. Gosh, no. Then there's so much more than just those two in this. So, like the additional characters that you have in this show. So, like Bill and Frank. My gosh, episode 3.
That episode, like,
what an incredible episode!
Really, really good. Like,
heartbreaking. Heartbreaking, but what a great episode.
Very different from the game, obviously, but
that's one of the big steps. That's probably the biggest step.
That's the biggest change.
From the game.
Yeah,
that's the biggest step they make from the game, but it works really, really well.
Fantastic episode. It's very, it's fitting for that kind of story. You know what I mean? It's very like. A lot of people have said it's filler, but I don't feel like it is. It's more fleshing out those characters, because we didn't really get to know Bill that well. We didn't even know Frank.
We didn't get to know Bill that well. No, you didn't get to know. Like, you got to learn a lot more about Bill in the series than you do in the game. And there's a couple of bits like that where you learn more about the side characters. Like with Tess as well, you got to learn a little bit more. Not too much more, to be fair. Like Bill and Frank got a lot more fleshing out than Tess did.
Yeah, well, they got a whole hour and a half, basically a movie for themselves.
They got a movie for themselves. Yeah. Who just throw a random romance movie into the middle of Last of Us, and who knew?
Literally, and it's one of the best romance stories I've ever seen on TV, to be honest. Especially fantastic. In terms of it being a gay relationship. Like, I know, like Jake has said this personally. He said that episode represents like a normal gay relationship, the best relationship, like gay relationship on TV that he's seen so far. Like, because like a lot of gay relationships on TV, they kind of lean towards a more like the campy side of
the flamboyant side of it. When actually this is just
they're just two people who love each other a lot. Like that it's just a normal loving relationship, and that they don't have to lean.
The fact that it's not about the fact that they're gay; it's about that they love each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they just happen to be two men. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. It was fantastic. The amount of haters out there, my God, they came out the woodwork. Yeah. the online conversation and that afterwards is like, oh, I know.
But
you can spot the scumbags from a mile away, can't you?
This is what annoys me about it. They're like, oh, he wasn't gay in the game. I'm like, yes, he was.
He very much was.
He very clearly states he was. And I mean, even the one of my favourite scenes from the game made it into the show when she finds the porno mag, the gay porn mag, and throws it out the window and all that. But like, I feel like if that doesn't clearly state that he was gay, I don't know what does. You know what I mean? In the game he was gay, and the amount of people I've seen who say he isn't, it's just I don't how they're not playing the same game. I don't understand.
It's just dumb. It's just dumb, and I feel like. If like a welding event was to happen, that would just become like an immediate non-issue.
It shouldn't be an issue in the first place.
Exactly. It shouldn't be an issue in the first place. You're right, but people just like there's more perspective on the matter, and it just people shouldn't care about that. They shouldn't care about it now, but especially then, like people just want to be with like any connection you can have with anyone. It's like is a special thing at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that episode 3 was fantastic. Gosh.
I do kind of slightly wish that we got a bit more with Bill and Bill never got to meet Ellie, and I did kind of wish we got a little bit of that because I think some of those bits in the games are really really good. But
where she whacks him with the pole.
Yeah. Like I would have liked to see a little bit of that. Maybe if Bill survived, and then obviously what happened to Bill in the game happened. Yeah. But I don't know. I just would have liked to kind of see a little bit more of his interactions with like Joel.
We got to see him with Joel and with Tess. So that's something we never saw in the game. Was we never saw his interactions. With
we got
Tess.
To see how that kind of relationship like blossomed.
Yeah.
And
we're completely skipping over the fact that Frank was never allowed. You never saw Frank.
You never saw
game.
Frank. No. Yeah.
Frank is
and he did the actor for Frank did a fantastic job. Like I thought he was great. And the same with actor for Bill. Like I would never have expected to see who I know as Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec in that kind of role, and he knocked it out of the park. He did it amazingly.
Yeah, he's got some good range there.
Because normally, I see him in comedic roles, and this is a very serious role for him, and he did it fantastically.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. It's good to see when actors break out from their usual cliche stuff as well. To do that sort of stuff. Brilliant.
Really
Gosh. Good. Two fantastic characters. Another side character, Tess, brilliant, fantastic. She did
a great job.
Anna Torv is a fantastic actress. I don't know. A lot of people don't watch stuff that she's been in. The main thing she's done is a show called Fringe, which is kind of like a sci-fi.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
X-Files kind of show. But it went under the radar for a lot of people, and that was a great show. I really, really liked it. I've watched it a few times. But she was great as Tess. I think. Some of the criticism that she's less badass than she was in the original game. I think that's fair enough. That's founded.
Fair. Yeah, because in the game she's very much like she's in charge. Like she's the one that tells Joel what to do. It's basically, and then I feel like in the show it's less so. Like she's more reliant on Joel.
It's more of like a team up situation than when being the boss in the game. But that makes a lot of sense because again in this environment, an unfortunate truth of that is that just overall power would rule, and I can imagine it becoming a very male dominated environment.
Yeah,
compared to
although she's a feisty lady. Even Stone in the show, you wouldn't mess with her.
100%. For the short time that she was in the show, she died in the second episode. She was brilliant, and her acting was brilliant. I really, really liked her. No, she was fantastic.
Yeah.
Gosh, what we got other characters? So
we're missing Sarah from the first game, first episode.
Yeah, no, from the first episode.
She was brilliant. Fantastic. The actress for that,
was brilliant.
Amazing. She got that whole episode got so much more fleshed out. We got to hang out with Sarah, see what she did during the day, kind of thing.
How she got his watch sorted, and
getting more of that relationship between her and her dad, and how she really loved her dad and stuff. And then obviously he loved her, and it's and then it all went wrong.
Only to get devastated even more.
We all knew it was coming, and then we all cried.
But we were more emotional. If we were just watching that show for the first time,
Yeah.
And all you'd heard about the show was that Pedro Pascal takes a girl across the country, and then you started watching the show. You'd assume that girl
Assume
would
it
have been
was her.
Sarah.
Yeah.
And then to see her just die, like that would have been. Well, to
in
be
the
honest, it'd been
I feel like
back in 2013, like devastating.
Yeah. If anything, in the show, I feel like it was more brutal. Her death, they lingered on it for so much longer, and you felt it more. I was already pre-crying because I knew it was coming, but still, like it was. I felt it was more devastating. Like, yeah. But she was fantastic.
I agree. She was a brilliant actress in that. We've got Sam and Henry. Unfortunately, I don't know the actors' names.
No.
But they were fantastic. They did change Sam up, so Sam was deaf in this.
I think it was a really good change.
I think it was a good addition because it made him even more vulnerable, and it gave Henry even more reason to like be the protector in that situation.
Yeah.
Because obviously in this sort of world, it's being deaf is a big issue, especially with clickers, which only locate using sound.
Yeah.
It's like it's the opposite to that, basically.
Well, yeah. If you're deaf, you can't hear it if you're making sound. So you don't know.
That's the problem. You
know what I mean? Exactly.
And you don't know what's in the next room. You can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much more vulnerable.
It makes him extremely vulnerable, and he's so much more innocent than Ellie is.
Yes.
And no, they were just fantastic. Henry, the way that they portrayed that, the way they portrayed the end. So with the way the way that Sam told Ellie that he was infected.
Yeah, I like that.
Ellie tried.
And she tried. It just goes to show, like it prepared it. Like she wants to be a cure. You know what I mean? We already know from that's her mindset going into like the final episodes, obviously, and that can play a big part into the future of it as well. So like, that's why I mean they had the foresight now to set stuff up that's going to happen in the future, and I think that's a perfect way of doing it as well with that little bit as well, like setting up that she is desperate to be the cure, basically.
Yeah,
she wants to.
It's more than just like a blood transfusion, as we obviously found out.
Yeah.
Because in the game that she never knew that Sam was infected until he attacked her.
And you know what I thought was a brilliant thing as well. Like obviously she stayed with him knowing he was infected, and then he faced away from her because obviously he's deaf, so he doesn't want to attack her when he turns. So that's why he faced away, because obviously he's not going to know she's there until she obviously grabbed him, and then that was the whole thing. But like, I thought that was really good, really cool. But like, obviously, the scene, the death scene of him, and when Henry shoots himself and stuff, it's just like that's devastating.
Brilliant. It's devastating. It's devastatingly brilliant. The whole thing is done so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, but again, this is pretty much how it played out in the game. And
I think, if I remember right, in the game you see him actually do the shooting of himself, don't you? But on this, it lingers on Ellie's face and her reaction to it, rather than showing you actually he shoot himself. And I think that's a better way of doing it. Like that's more like you can see the horror on her face.
I think in the game, as he pulls the trigger and you hear the shot, I think it cuts to black. I don't think you see him do it. We're gonna have to find out right now.
I'm sure he does it.
Oh well, I'll have a look. Last of Us, Henry, death.
Sure he does.
No, okay, so it cuts to Joel.
Okay.
And you got Henry in the foreground, but he's all blurred out. But you see him shoot himself, but it's all
blurred out.
It's all depth of field,
yeah.
But you're looking at Joel.
But I think like with that, then like seeing Ellie's horror on her face from that moment, like that's much.
A much better way of doing it. Makes is like, like it gets you in the gut. And that's when I think that's the first time that she's really like, shit is fucking real. Shit is real.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she'd seen anything like that. Like she'd seen bad stuff. Obviously, but I don't think she'd seen anything that like
right in front of her face, just literally like that.
Yeah, and like gut wrenching.
Yeah, there's a difference between seeing a clicker get shot and someone.
Yeah, or just seeing like a bad guy get shot, which happened a lot before that. But this is someone two people that she knew were good people that just died in front of her. That she built a connection with, and then just they do that really well. They handle that really well.
Giving them a reason they're in hiding as well and on the run, like making
like you don't know what it is in the game, do you?
No.
In the game, you just think that they're leaving, so they're after him just because they're leaving, not because that Henry killed the leader of the resistance, basically.
And it just goes to show, like, he did that for obviously to help Sam because Sam was ill. Like, in this world, there's no good or bad. Like,
it's all everything's morally grey.
It's like you do what you gotta do to survive.
Yeah.
And then obviously that has repercussions later, and I think showing that obviously once again sets up something like later. Well, not it kind of parallels something that's going to happen in Last of Us 2. That's like with what's the woman's name? The one whose brother died in the Henry and Sam episode. The one after Henry and Sam.
Oh,
I can't remember her name. She was really good as well.
She's not in the game at all. I forget her name.
No, yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. But I know who you mean.
But
you'll know who you mean.
Yeah, she was like pretty much foreshadowing Abby, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it just goes to show, like, in her mind, she's the good guy at that point because she's avenging someone who was killed by someone else, and that's.
But it's different though, because that woman. Because you mentioned this before after we watched the actual show, but she's like straight up killing good people for no reason, basically. Like when she orders the guys to go and shoot them all up.
Oh yeah, again, morally grey. In her mind, she's probably doing it because they were against her, like, rebellion.
Just against her, yeah.
And she's in her mind, she sees the rebellion as being good. You know what I mean? So like, it's all like once again, it's like there's no good or bad line here.
Abby goes for Joel and only goes for Joel. And
that's the only person she goes for. I know. It just kind of sets up like the idea in especially the people who haven't played the game, the idea that, you know, it's understandable that someone would want to get revenge.
Yeah.
But, you know,
and that should be
someone they know being.
It should be called Last of Us 2 Revenge. It should literally, that's the whole game is revenge again and again and again. God, that's a good game.
It is. I can't wait for that to be in a show.
The TV show that is going to be insane.
Yeah,
it's going to be insane. People don't know what's coming, man.
But
gosh,
like Tommy as well. We haven't even talked about Tommy. Tommy was fantastic. He's a really good actor.
So in this, Tommy's, I feel like different in this. So I feel like I don't know why. I don't know if this is the case. I might have to go back and look at it. But I feel like in the game, Tommy is running Jackson. I feel like he's the leader of Jackson.
Well, him and he had a Maria.
Hand. Yeah, and I feel like he had a hand setting it up. But in this, it just seemed like he just turned up one day. And
he joined after because Maria was running things.
Yeah, and he turned up way after the fact. So at least that in itself is already different. By the time that Joel gets to Jackson, the electricity is already on. The power plant's already up. The hydro dam is already running, which of course in the game is its whole set piece.
Yeah, which you don't even get to visit. Oh, they see it, but they don't get to go in. That's completely skipped over.
Don't get attacked by raiders or anything.
Yeah.
But again, that is a purely like
it's a gameplay bit.
It's a gameplay. It's a gameplay part. It's to fill it out, and so you're not just walking around for ages. And that they changed a couple of bits in Water Jackson, so Ellie doesn't run off anymore.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like I get it. It saves a lot of time in terms of the story, moving the story forward. And it still works. Like the whole conversation they have, like the iconic argument.
That's exactly the same.
It works the same. It still has the same impact. So like, it's fine. You know what I mean? And I feel like
it does the same thing.
This Ellie, I don't think would have ran off anyway because she seems a lot less reckless than the in-game.
No, she'd have been too scared to go off on her own. She wouldn't have done that.
She's got more sense to her, this Ellie, it seems.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting thing though was Tommy and Maria being pregnant. That's an interesting thing. That wasn't in the game. That wasn't in the game.
Is it not? Is that definitely not in the game?
Definitely not in the game.
Okay.
But like, I thought it was like when they were having that conversation in the bar, and he's like, you know, she's pregnant, and then Joel you can tell like he's so pissed off that Tommy's got basically what is going to have what Joel lost, and he can't deal with that. That's why he leaves. And I think that was a powerful scene for that. Like it just you don't a lot of things in this show, like they didn't have to say what they're thinking, but you could just tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he was pissed off that Tommy had it so good. To be honest, like Joel has been out there struggling so long, and Tommy's got it so good, and Tommy never told Joel. Like Joel's been trying to communicate with Tommy, and Tommy's kept quiet.
Yeah.
And I think he's pissed off about that.
Yeah.
And I don't really blame him because Tommy should have let him know.
Yeah, but didn't Maria stop him?
Well, that and I feel like from the conversations they had, Joel was the one that was like, Joel was the bad influence.
Yeah.
Joel was the one that was.
He's the one that was like
instigating the issues.
He's the one like he was killing when they were killing people back in the day when they were.
Yeah.
Like it seems like Joel was the one who was like, we got to do this, and got Tommy to do it when Tommy didn't necessarily want to.
No, exactly. And I feel, Joel was feeling that big brother, like part for Tommy, trying to protect Tommy, but he became basically like the bad guy.
Tommy became resentful of it, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like Tommy going to Jackson and not telling Joel was him kind of like trying to get away from Joel as well, because to be honest, Joel gets to Jackson and the first thing he does is try to rope Tommy into more bullshit.
Yeah.
That he doesn't need. Tommy's got it good, man. Tommy does not need this shit.
Yeah.
Until like the thing that brings Joel around is obviously Ellie.
Yeah.
And he just can't bring himself to leave a bit after that, especially after the conversation having the house.
Yeah.
And obviously it goes full circle in the end, and he'll end up back at Jackson anyway.
I liked the fact that we got to see Jackson in its full glory in this season, because you don't get to see it in Last of Us 1.
You don't know.
You see it from afar, I think.
But now you know what it actually looks like because of Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And they incorporated a lot of that.
Seeing that barn that you're going to see. Like, like,
see the barn.
Shimmer as well, the horse.
See Shimmer and potentially see Dina.
Oh, it's confirmed it is Dina. Neil Druckmann basically confirmed it on the podcast he was on. He's basically confirmed it was Dina. So that's cool. So, Whether it'll be the same actress, who knows in the future, but it's cool that
I doubt it will, because the girl that played the face of Dina is not an actress. She is not an actress.
No, I mean whether it's the same. No, she is. Oh no, not the face of Dina, but the voice of Dina.
The voice actor is. Yeah. The voice is, but the girl that face model there isn't.
No, what I mean is like whether the same actress will be the one who in the episode. In the future,
I imagine it would be if Neil Druckmann set it up that much. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't be. You didn't really get to see her though, really.
Yeah, exactly. So they could change it. That's what I'm saying. But it's cool just to see. Like, as soon as I saw her, I was like, "That's Dina." 100%, that's Dina. Because they pretty much in The Last of Us 2 they described that scene where she says like she saw when they first come to Jackson, she saw her and she was stuffing her face, and that's literally what she's doing in the scene. And I'm like, that's so cool. Just adding that little like Easter egg is really cool.
Yeah.
Really like that.
No, it's good that they can do that now as well, because obviously they can't go back and retroactively change.
Yeah.
Well, they could have changed the first game in the remaster they made.
This is what I wanted them to do.
But they didn't. But that's fine. That's okay. They can do it in the show instead, because everyone that loves the game is going to watch the show. Like, let's be honest.
100%. Yeah.
Like, there's no way the people that love the game aren't going to watch the show.
Yeah.
So they can get all the extra bits from that, and they can have the best of both worlds at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, gosh, yeah.
David,
really nice.
David as well. Like when we got to the David bit, he was so good.
He was very good. He was very good at being bad.
He was very good at being creepy. Like just
especially
a creep.
At the end, like it was at that level, and then the last 2 minutes, it was like he went crazy up. It's like yo,
like I can imagine people who don't know watching it thinking, is this guy okay? I don't know.
Like, he seems pretty legit, and then you find the dead bodies, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, this something else going on. And then he tells you that he's only religious in order to control the group. Yeah. And he's like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. This guy's a piece of shit.
And making him a teacher as well just made it even more disgustingly creepy when he's like...
Yeah, because he could have been doing this shit before.
Yeah.
Look, he's old enough.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's just...
Yeah, it's
fucked up. it is fucked up. Like that whole episode, I think that's one of my favorite episodes. I just really, really enjoyed it. Like I just wish.
I wish it was 2 episodes, to be honest.
Same, yeah. And we'll talk about the last episode, and then we'll get onto it just generally as a whole, because I want to. There is some things I'm like, I wish they did, kind of thing. But like, as we've basically gone through episode here, so
we will pretty much have.
Then it's the last episode in it, which I thought was great.
Oh, it's brilliant! It's fantastic. They changed it up, so they did change it up. So Ellie no longer drowns. So now they just get like flashbanged, and then knocked out by the fireflies.
But before that, we had the very real giraffe.
The very real giraffe.
The very real giraffe.
We couldn't decide whether it was CGI.
I decided. I was like, "This is a real giraffe," and everyone was like, "No, that's CGI." No,
I did change my mind halfway through, and it says, "Oh, this could actually be a real giraffe on green screen." So I did.
The amount of people online as well who were like, "No, it's a fake giraffe." And the background's real, they're in a real location. And it turns out the whole location was CGI. That's mad. Because that location looked really good. Like it looked really good. It looked basically real, so like but that's probably why the giraffe looked a bit weird. Because everything else was CGI.
Exactly why, because everything behind it was CGI and it didn't quite fit.
They knocked that scene out of the park, because that's like one of the most iconic scenes, and I loved it. It was great.
That's when sad Ellie becomes happy Ellie again. And then obviously the whole Firefly stuff's happened. So they changed it, and the changes that they made do make a significant difference.
Yes.
So in this, they knock them out, they knock her and Joel out, and then after knocking them out, they take her straight to surgery.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know what's happening to her.
She doesn't know in the game.
She doesn't know in the game, though. But it's like they say it's weird because previously they saved them, whereas now they have caused them to be knocked out.
Yeah,
and then they've taken out. It's a different circumstance.
Yeah. It's more aggressive,
and
it paints the Fireflies more as bad guys at this point.
It paints them more as bad guys, and it justifies Joel more in the TV show than it does in the game.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, 100%.
So obviously, this eventually all comes down to a choice of should Joel have saved Ellie or not. And from Joel's perspective, more so in the show than in the game. From Joel's perspective, he did the right thing in saving her, because these seem like bad people, and what they were doing, they basically told Joel, "Oh, we knocked you both out, and we're gonna kill this little girl." And Joel's there like, "The fuck you are."
Yeah.
And that's when Joel goes on his rampage and kills everyone.
Like with the game, like I've always been like, he's kind of the bad guy at this point, but like I've always thought like that. I've always thought it's his fault. Like they could have come up with a cure. Like she should have at least had the choice there. I've always thought that she should have been woken up and given the choice. He shouldn't have took that from her. And I still think that even in the show. But obviously we wouldn't have a season 2 if that happened. So. But
he never took that choice from her. They took the choice from her already.
Yeah, but he could have woke her up and given her that choice after the fact.
Well, at that point, I don't think.
But he'd already killed the doctor who he knew he was going to do it.
Everyone.
Which that's a bad guy move. If anything, he basically destroyed any chance of her making a choice at that point.
Yeah.
So but I do agree with you. It's more justified in the show. It's more I feel like I do side more with Joel in the show.
Yeah. So I saw a good description of this in the show, and in an online file. Sorry about the show. And the description is that Joel took all that way in order to save the world, but at the very end, Joel did save the world because Ellie was his entire world at that point.
Yeah.
And that was the only choice that he could make.
And if anything, she also saved.
To him anymore.
She saved his world.
100%. 100%.
He was a lost, broken man before he came along.
Busted ass dude before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and they saved each other basically. But like he's like you got looking at that from like a fatherly perspective that he would be. It's like there was no other choice to make.
I 100% agree. If any father would have made the same decision, like anyone who feels like that, a father figure to any kid would have made the same decision if that kid was in that situation.
And they solidified that when he's picked up and he's carrying it, and it just flashbacks Was the flashbacks to Sarah at that point? Was there? But then when he gets down the elevator, and he sees he's walking to the car and he comes up behind him.
Marlene.
Marlene, I was thinking Moira for some reason. Marlene comes up behind him and she's like trying to chat him out of it, and he just goes cold. And then like Murder Joel comes back out for another second.
Oh yeah, I mean he's right. Shit. They would hunt him down and try.
They just look at exactly that. You just come after bang, and that was like cold.
She was also fantastic in terms of acting as well.
She was brilliant, and it's the
same actress from the game,
and that's the only carried over character from the game. And Marlene,
she does it perfectly.
And Marlene are the same person, and she's brilliant. Yeah, she's brilliant. She was fantastic. She played the role really, really well. Going on from there, we should talk about the cameos.
Oh yes.
Of the original star crew. So first, of course, we have the original Joel.
Yep.
Who played a character called Troy Baker, who played James, who was it James? David Handman?
Yeah, James.
I expected him to like he seemed to be questioning David every now and then, and I expected him to turn on David at the end.
Yeah. I feel like he didn't want to do what David was asking him to do, obviously. But I feel like he's the kind of character that, like, he knows it's probably his best option at this point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to die. You know what I mean? Like, and he knows that David's a dickhead, but and a horrible person. Like, he's an evil man.
But he's kept him alive as well.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But he's safer closer to David than he would be if he defied David.
Yeah.
Because he gets to the point where he's questioning him, like, about his allegiance. Like, he's saying, "You're still with me, aren't you?" And he's like, you can tell he's thinking about it, saying no.
I was fully expecting James to turn on him, and then for David to have to kill him or something. But it just never happened. I was surprised by it.
I don't think he got the chance to be honest. Well, he had several chances to, but like he did get killed.
Maybe it was a little bit later. Maybe because if he saw David as David got like a kind of rapey towards the end, if he saw David like that, maybe he would have.
But how like David was with Ellie, like saying, Ellie, you're my equal and all that. Like you could. Do you reckon he's David? Is it David? No, not David. What's the other guy's name? James. Do you reckon he doubled down because he saw Ellie as a threat to like his position, basically?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Ellie becoming number 2 or sort of. That's his spot.
Yeah, and
maybe.
His little spot of safety. I know we didn't get much of him, but like I think Troy Baker did a very good job of acting that isn't voice acting, because I haven't really seen him in anything real life acting. And he fit in well. He did it well. I think.
Yeah.
He played it
brilliant.
very
Tommy,
well.
the guy that plays Tommy, I forget his name as well. Terrible.
Jeffrey Pierce. I want to. Is Jeffrey Pierce?
Is it?
He was a great guy. Yeah,
and he was fantastic. He seemed like a right badass as like the leader of the military leader of the militia.
Yeah.
Rather than that lady was like the actual leader, and he was like in charge of the actual like the guns basically, and taking care of things. He was cool, and he got some good lines.
Yeah. Jeffrey Pierce is. Yeah, I think it right. He didn't have much, but like
he didn't have much. He did it well.
He played the role that he had well. And he had an absolutely brutal death.
I was going to mention, he had one of the iconic.
Yeah, it's one of the most memorable deaths in that show because he just gets ripped in fucking.
Yeah, the exact same way that Joel dies against the bloater is they had to get that in there somewhere, and I'm glad they did.
Do you know what I've heard? They wanted the bloater to literally rip him in half because they ripped his head off in this, but like. Apparently Neil Druckmann tried so hard to get it in, but like the people came back to him and like, that's not how people rip.
Yeah,
you're gonna rip at your weak point, which is your neck. Like
it just ripped his jaw off exactly.
Yeah, you won't rip in half, so like you can get it in. But
well, never mind. That bloater scene was cool.
He still had a brutal death.
Scene. Yeah, that whole scene with all the infected and the bloater and all the clickers that came out, that was awesome.
Kathleen, that's the lady's name.
Kathleen, that's it.
When she gets fucking wrecked by the bloody kid,
the young one,
the kid infected, I don't know if they're all clickers because we all got the.
They're not all clicker, but that one was a kid.
Clicker. It was one, yeah. But it was ironic when she said kids die all the time, because she said that to Henry, didn't she? Yeah. And then away you go, you get wrecked by a kid.
Yeah, what a bitch.
Yeah.
God, that was a really good scene. That was different from the game. That was different from the game as well.
Oh yeah, because we've never seen a kid clicker before. That was terrifying. It was all contortionist shit. Oh
yeah. In the car to chase it. Well, not really chasing Ellie. She just got into the car, and while Ellie was in there, and that was all. She was like, "Yeah, weird, man." Proper contortionist. I think they got a contortionist in to do that.
They did.
Or they got like a they did. Yeah, must have done. They were really good. Gosh, yeah. Who else? We got Ashley Johnson. Ashley Johnson's performance as Ellie's mom, brilliant.
Yeah.
She did a really good job. And something that we never got from the game is an explanation why Ellie's immune.
Yeah.
Which is not something I expected to see. I've really never expected to see that.
Apparently, they originally had planned a whole game centered around Ellie's mum and dad, but then obviously that idea got scrapped. But obviously he's put it in this now, so some of it at least.
Yeah, well, said his mum.
Yeah.
But the freak accident that happened, that she got bit while she's given birth to Ellie, and they've just connected body and umbilical cord. Like, just you can understand why nobody else is infected, because that is such a freak thing to never happen.
It's not exactly something you can just recreate. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And it's just it did a really good job of explaining why Ellie is immune, and adding something that the game's completely missing from the games. Like, you never know. You never find out in the games why she's immune. You just know that she is.
And in a way, it's really like cool. It was a really good handoff of Ellie's character to Thingy from
Ashley Johnson to Bella Ramsey.
Like by birthing her, literally.
Literally birthing her. And she looks like her, even.
I was saying to Kate the episode before with David, like, when she had all the blood all over her face and stuff, like, you literally look at it and I was like, that looks like Ashley Johnson, like, literally.
Yeah.
and that worked so well when she became a mum.
Looks like her, which is brilliant. She had a great performance. The other
Laura Bailey was also in it.
Laura Bailey was also in it. Not that you could
not much. But also, I didn't know this until the other day. Well, she was the nurse, one of the nurses, but also she was also one of the nurses in the original game. That's why she got that role.
Really?
Yeah, that's why she did that.
So two people reprise their roles.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Technically, yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Well, I'm guessing she just voiced her in the original game.
Yeah.
It's just a few screams. It's not really. Imagine getting not Ashley Johnson. Imagine getting Laura Bailey to voice like.
But how many actors do additional voices? You know what I mean? Like, additional voice. That, like, you go, every big one has like additional voices in everything. Like, you know what I mean?
So that's like A-list like voice acting is there. Like, there's very few voice actors to get to that level.
But like, this was Last of Us 1, don't forget, it was a very long time ago.
2013, I know. So that was probably all done in like 2012, 2011. Which makes sense, to be fair.
I think is that it for cameos?
I think so. Yeah, I can't think of anybody. I think that's it for the cameo characters, the ones that came returning characters from the game. But yeah, gosh, it's just the overall show is just so good, fantastic. 9 episodes, and that last episode was the shortest episode of all of them as well. Which
is crazy. I think the show's fantastic. I think it's one of the best video game adaptations ever, and I think it's adapted the story really well. Oh, one thing I really want to talk about is those extra scenes at in the first 2 episodes, like the start scenes,
the world building.
Yeah, some of the most powerful scenes in the whole show, and they're just just random bits at the start, like crazy.
I'll forget which country it was that we were talking about.
Indonesia.
The one with was it Indonesia? I don't know. Do you want to quickly look it up?
I might do.
And when they're going through that, and it's the first 10 minutes, and they explain, oh, this is starting. There's people getting infected. One person was infected, and another one was infected, and they got away, and they're explaining that more people are getting infected, and then her resolution, they're like, oh, we need help. How do we deal with this sort of situation? And after figuring out that it was cordyceps and a fungal infection, and she was like, there's no cure, there's no vaccine, there's literally nothing we can do.
Yeah.
All we can do is kill everyone and everything we need to make sure that this never ever gets away from where we are now.
Yeah,
and obviously
like
they didn't follow her advice.
No,
they didn't follow her advice because it all got out anyway.
Or even if they did, not fast enough.
Not fast enough, yeah. But that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
the whole scene where all the scientists are discussing the idea of
a
fungal infection becoming a big thing, and this was set way in the past, wasn't it?
In the 60s, yeah.
Which,
in the 60s.
But like, I think
clever.
These two scenes that we're on about now hit even harder now that in the show, but now that with the fact that we've as ourselves gone through a pandemic, I think that those two scenes hit even harder now.
Oh, 100%.
Than they ever would have. You know what I mean?
They knew what they were doing, and how they explained how the fungi it's never going to happen. If only the world got a couple of degrees hotter.
And you're like,
instead the camera.
And the amount of how many people looked up cordyceps after this to see if that could actually happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, oh shit! Like we did this to ourselves.
Literally, mad.
That was crazy good.
But those scenes just they give you such a feeling of dread. You know what I mean? It's just like, shit, man. Like that's just like. It's crazy. It's just
it's a lot of world building that we never previously got,
and
it's much appreciated because it was really, really good. And we were kind of hoping that we'd get those scenes in every episode.
Yeah. When we got to the third one, we didn't get it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. We're all like, because we already know the story, we know it's going to really happen in the episode, but it's still good to see the adaptation. But that was entirely new information, and that's what was really.
I think
really good shit.
Watching the show as a whole, I think it kept even people who've played the game. Like on their toes, like we didn't know necessarily what was going to happen. All of it, we were surprised by a lot of stuff, and shocked, and it still came as a shock to us, and we didn't know exactly what was going to happen, and I like that.
If you're out there thinking that just because you played the game you shouldn't watch a show because it's the same, it's not.
It's not.
The massive broad brushstrokes are the same,
but
a lot of the finer detail is different, and it really makes it worth watching. It really makes it worth 100%. Watching.
I think some of the things done in the show are done better than they are in the game. But I think some of the story generally, like, it hits harder, I feel, in the show than the game. Yeah.
But Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson both came out and says Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal did things that they wish they could go back and change for their characters in the game because they think that they played out better the way that they did them rather than the way that they were voice acted originally. And
that goes to show, like, getting a new actor's perspective on a character.
It's a good thing to do.
It's getting a different take. It's refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It gives exactly that. It's refreshing, and a second pair of eyes on the situation, on a character can make all the difference. But now you've experienced both of it. No, actually, I'll ask you this: now you've played both. You've played the game. You've watched the show. What's better?
See, before I answer this question, I want to go into some of my issues I have with the show.
Oh yeah, let's go into the issues. Okay, yeah. So go on, you start with one.
One, I feel like there's a huge lack of infected in it, and so much so that I don't really feel like a lot of they're not really a threat.
No, I'm not.
Like, I feel like it seems like with how little infected there are around, it seems like everyone could just live their lives very happily. As long as you're not in a big city, you know what I mean? And it's just like
you're not, yeah. So one of the major, what I should say beforehand is one of the major changes they made is they got rid of spores and introduced tendrils,
which are scarier in my opinion.
Tendrils are scarier because you step on one tendril and lights everyone, all the infected around you. But it does bring the limitation of that's only really going to exist in the major cities where all the infected are. Outside of the major cities, you're not going to see much, and it does show in the show that outside of the major cities, they're really not worried about what is going on. It's only the towns.
Yeah.
And like with David's guys, their group, they weren't worried about the infected. They just didn't have enough food to survive, and that was their major problem. The infected really weren't a major issue unless you were in the major cities. You're right, which is different from the game.
Yeah.
The infected were always a constant threat.
Yeah, I feel like if everyone just lived in the countryside, you could just live a happy life, and no
Well,
one
look
would...
at those two people that were in the hut. So you saw those
Exactly.
two people in the hut, and they were living the best life. I mean, geez, they were eating very well. You could tell. So
It
they
makes
weren't
it feel like
struggling.
a bit less like it needs to be post-apocalyptic. You know what I mean? Like they could easily potentially get back to... I mean, Jackson is a prime example of how it has got back to kind of some sort of society. You know what I mean? Like civilization.
I imagine that like you can explain that away with things like it's been 30. Is it how long was it? How many years was it?
20 years, I believe.
Something like that. And many of the like initially, I can imagine it being extremely bad.
Yeah.
Like when I want to see 6 months after the infection starts.
I'd love to see a game or a show. Yeah, depicting that
that initial period. That'd be great. But this so far after the fact, like any infected that would have been out in the wild have starved to death. Like they're gone, and that's the reason that you only get the ones in the cities where there's plentiful food. And it does make sense that in the cities that this is the only place you'd find the infected really, because out in the wild you're just not going to find enough people to sustain yourself.
Mm.
Which in the game it wasn't the same thing.
I do think missing them from David's section, at least having a few, would have, because I feel like that's them fighting off, her and Ellie and David fighting off infected together was kind of what
it built the trust in them.
Built the trust between them, and she kind of like was thinking, oh, maybe I can trust this guy, but I feel like they don't really get that in the show, and I feel like that was something that was missing in my opinion for that bit. But
what I expected to happen in that episode, I expected Joel to purposefully pull a bunch of infected into the town, and then that was what's going to cause the havoc and like the confusion and everything. But no, he just rocks up randomly out of nowhere and he just grabs Ellie and leaves. Like,
because he didn't need to save her. She basically did it herself. Yeah.
Whereas in the game,
he stops her from beating the shit out of him. By the way, she kills him, but like he comes and grabs her. But
from inside,
she just walks out to him in this.
She's finished at that point, exactly. Yeah. But she was going to leave and go back to Joel anyway. Like he could have just hid and she'd have made his way back to him.
And that goes back to what I said earlier, like how they're showing her violent heart, like he says in the show. Yeah. Like they're showing that she's brutal. And if you cross her, she will fuck you up.
Exactly. And I feel like in the game there's a lot more destruction to the community of that to that group of people. Like they kill a bunch of them, where in this the only ones that die are the ones that come for Joel and David.
Yeah, because I feel like if Joel went in killing all those people, I feel like Joel is the bad guy in that situation, because they're not bad people necessarily.
No, they don't even know that
they didn't even know that they're eating human meat. You know what I mean? Like,
they don't even know.
I think that the only ones that really knew was David and James.
David, James, and a couple of guys.
That
were making it.
Yeah.
But they weren't bad people. They were just being dead by a bad person. That's the difference
as well.
Yeah. But in the game, they just roll through town and start blasting. That's how Joel goes in the game. He starts killing everyone. Which it's a good part of the game. To be fair, that's fun. But in the game, I feel like they make it apparent that everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll get the impression that people know that they're doing these heinous, horrible things.
Yeah.
Rather than in this, where they're more innocent.
Yeah, I feel like more infected having more of a presence.
Yeah, they should do.
Would I mean, they already have apparently said that they're going to have a lot more infected in
the second season,
and I feel like that obviously needed, because there's a lot of infected in season 2.
There's a lot of infected. A lot of shit happens in season 2.
Well, in last season,
very special infected.
Yeah. That's one of the things, and I feel like, especially like towards the end, so after, I feel like it was rushed a little bit towards the end. It could have done with having a couple more episodes, so it felt a bit more like we had a bit of time to breathe. You know what I mean? Like,
I think 12 episodes would have been a better number.
Yeah.
For this, to be fair, like that David episode could have been a double episode.
Could have been a double. I mean, the fact that Henry and Sam was a double, David wasn't. Whereas I feel David is a more like it's a more impactful section and it's longer in the game as well. Like, I feel like we didn't need two things for the Henry and Sam section.
I think no, I don't think so either. I think. Well, I think there should the two for Henry and Sam is fine, but I think things should have happened earlier, and they should have kept in the part where they obviously went underground and had all the stuff with Ish and everything, which was really cool.
Yeah,
and all that part. And they should have had the part underground where they faced the infected and they got separated from each other.
Yeah.
So Joel had Sam and Ellie had Henry. And it would have made it even more interesting because Sam is deaf and Joel has to deal with Sam being deaf, not knowing how to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
They could have done that really well. And that's something they missed out on. And they should have just had an episode where Joel and Ellie are going through somewhere and just having to deal with infected, like just avoiding trying to sneak around and having to kill a few.
But also in something like that as well. Like they should have had an episode where like Joel and Ellie just they're doing something like what you just said, but like they're hanging out at the same time. They're getting to know each other like a bit more. Because I do feel like, and Kate mentioned this as well, whereas like there's one episode where he's saying she's cargo, and then like you go an episode and then all of a sudden he's like
they're best mates.
But you know what I mean? It just doesn't. It just there's a switch suddenly, and it's just like I feel like they could have built that up more naturally.
In the game, that's like between those two sections, what happened is like 3 hours of gameplay. Like you've had a lot of gameplay between them, whereas in that you've had about 40 minutes of TV.
Yeah,
and so it doesn't add up the same. And they could have had an episode. You're right. You could have had an episode of like building in between those two.
Yeah,
but like I said, like a dealing with the infected and like going somewhere that's highly infected and to do stuff. I don't know if they didn't want to do that because they'd had that with Tess and those episodes that dealt with
that episode was called Infected. Like that had the most infected in, if anything.
But they could have done something different. They could have done something. But honestly, I feel like I'm just picking holes in a very, very good TV show.
Yeah, like I don't get me wrong, like this is amazing. This season it's the best video game adaptation. It's a really good adaptation of a really good story. It's a really good story in its own, even just as a show. Very HBO, and I always knew it would be at least of a decent quality because the guy, you got Neil Druckmann involved, so and it's his story, it's his baby at the end of the day because he created the story, but also like. Is it Craig Manson, the guy who did Chernobyl? He's co-directing, and that show's fantastic. Like, Chernobyl, if you haven't seen Chernobyl, go and watch it now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and it like just getting Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, like just everything kind of came together where it's like everything was quality in terms of the acting, the writing, and everything, directing. Like, I
was going to watch it either way, but this show ended up being much better than I expected it to be.
Oh hell yeah, 100%. You knew that really from the get-go. You knew that from the first episode.
You watched the first episode, you was like, "This is gonna be special.
Yeah,
this is gonna be really special." Because they've put a lot of effort into this, and they've put they haven't half-assed it like those bloody like for instance, like a CW bloody DC show, like you have like the Arrow and stuff like that. They have not half-assed it. They've really put the budget it needed,
or any Resident Evil movie,
or any live action movie. They've put the budget it needed, and they gave the best casting they could get, and it paid off because it's one of their highest rated shows ever made, and it's the only show to go to where the viewership goes up every single episode. It's like it did in that respect. It did better than
at the end of the day. It's hitting Game of Thrones numbers, and that's not easy.
It's not, and that they know it's gonna. Like they're looking at that thinking, "Holy shit!" Like we didn't know it was gonna do this well, and they're just gonna they're gonna put even more into season 2.
Yeah,
and Last of Us 2.
I do wonder how that's gonna fly. Like with a lot of the things that happen, like whether people will, because a lot of people, as Kate said before as well, there's a lot of people just watching this for Pedro Pascal. And those people are not going to be happy at certain points.
I think they'll long out Joel a bit.
Yep, Sam.
I think that it won't happen immediately. I think you know when you start playing as Abby, and you have all this set up as Abby, and then Abby finds out where Joel is, and then she goes off to go and get Joel. I think you'll have that initially, and you'll have that first, and then they're going to explain why she wants to kill Joel, and then she'll kill Joel. I wouldn't be super surprised if the first season ends with Joel dying.
This is what I'm going to say. I think, especially because it's done so well, HBO will want it to go on for a decent amount of time. Yeah. And they have a lot of content they could kind of fill in between 1 and 2, game-wise. Which obviously they did some of it with flashbacks and all that jazz. But like, I
don't think you'll get flashbacks. I think
you'll get them. Season 1. Yeah, exactly. Season 2. Yeah.
Season 2. Yeah.
I think season 2 ends with Joel's death.
Yeah.
I think partway through is when he's gonna tell her about what he did, with the Fireflies and all that.
Is he going to tell her, or is she just going to find out for herself?
He tells her in the game, right?
No.
She finds out, and then he tells her. That's what I mean.
Then he tells her.
That's what I mean. Like that build up to that is all going to happen in season 1.
Yeah, but you'll have the museum and stuff before that.
And then it ends, I reckon, with him dying. But you're not going to know why. You're not going to know who Abby is.
Well, you don't think you're going to see what happened?
I think you're going to see Abby. I think you're going to see her.
Second season.
I think you're going to see her at the end. When she comes in, rolls in like she does. When she kills Joel. I don't know though, because I have said it'll go between the two, so maybe. But like, I feel like
I think you'll get some. Think of this. Season 2 starts. It's a cold open. Yeah, and you cold open on Abby. You don't know what's going on. She's in the hospital, and you hear gunshots and stuff.
Do you reckon they're going to tell you why before she does it?
Yeah, 100%. 100% they're going to tell you why.
I think
then you go through Abby's story in the hospital, and then discovering her dad, and then looking up and seeing Joel walk away with Ellie in her arms or something like that. But I think you're going to find out the first episode who Abby is and what her deal is and what she's about. And
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
And then it'll just I wouldn't be surprised if the first episode is mostly Abby, and then it'll skip forward into when she's like, and then they've got all the stuff where they're in the stadium and getting set up and everything, and then that first episode might end with her finding out where Joel is. And people are going to be very people who haven't played the game will be confused, but that will be the grab to get them to watch the next episode.
Yeah, they have to handle Abby with care in this show, because if they do anything in the wrong order, or like
they won't do what they did in the game.
They can't,
because a general audience won't take it.
A general audience will see him die and start watching.
Exactly that. Like, the problem is because you've got Pedro Pascal, who's star power, and they want to keep him in there as long as possible. You're right.
But also, will they give Abby's motivation away? Because Joel's death is a shock. If you give her a motivation away, you're going to presume, even if you haven't played the game, obviously, it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
No,
I feel like you would.
You're not going to presume it's going to happen, because you're still not going to think that Joel is like. So he'll get out of it somehow, or he'll win the fight, but he just won't. That's what's going to surprise is going to be, is that Joel, even though against all this, is still going to die. I think you will start on Abby seeing her dead dad in the hospital.
I think before that you get a little bit of Joel and Ellie just
like the second half of the first episode.
I think it's about halfway through the season, maybe. No, I think you end either way this next season on Joel's death, and I think there's a lot they need to do for both Joel and Ellie in terms of story before then. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see, because if they show a lot of Abby and Abby's plan, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be weird to watch that while Ellie, Joel, and that are just being really happy and living life in Jack. You know what I mean? In Jackson, it's going to be a weird parallel.
No, but that's the whole point, is that you'll get the contrast of Joel and Ellie being happy, and then seeing this. And it going to Abby, and Abby being like distraught over her father's death that Joel caused. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We've seen a few things like there's going to be, like, you know how we got the Bill and Frank episode? It was completely separate, basically. There's going to be they said potential of some of them, like in terms of like the Seraphites or the.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, like the thing is, they literally cannot do the Last of Us 2 story in one season. At least not 9 episodes.
No, they can't. No, they can't. Because
it's going to be interesting where they cut off. I didn't think they would have done season 1 in 9 episodes.
In 9 episodes. No.
Like I said, I think it should have been longer, but like I don't think they could have. They have. They've pulled it off.
So much more happens in Last of Us 2 than happens in Last of Us 1.
So much more.
So much more. Maybe they'll end it at the Maybe they'll end. No, they can't. It's too much. Like I was going to say maybe they'll end at the aquarium with Ellie at the aquarium, but so much happens.
So much before.
That. There's no way that they could end it at the aquarium.
I think literally they could get potentially 3 seasons out of that
I think they can get 3 seasons.
But it's like you can't have 3 seasons of Abby just on a mission to kill Joel and then.
No, you won't.
You can't even have one season of that, maybe?
The first season would end with Joel dying.
Yeah.
The second season would end with Abby fighting Ellie in the cinema.
Yeah.
And then going their separate ways after killing the lad, I forget his name, and shooting Tommy.
Yeah.
And then the third season will be whatever's left. It'll be all the stuff after that where she actually saves Abby and then Abby goes on her way.
Yeah. It'd be an interesting one. I'm excited for it. I'm excited more for that because it's like Last of Us 1's it's a great game, but like the story's very cut and dry, if you know what I mean, until the end. Like the big thing about
it's a relatively simplistic story compared to 2.
The big thing about Last of Us 1 story is what Joel does at the end. Like that's the big moment in that game and what made it so special because like obviously everyone's gonna be like, oh, did he do it? What he did, was it right, was it wrong, or whatever, but like Last of Us 2 has like so many moments like that just across the whole fucking thing.
It is I'm just trying to compare it now and it's insane how much more stuff happens in Last of Us 2 than happens in Last of Us 1. Like, crazy. If you used to just follow Ellie's story, so much more stuff happens, and then you've got Abby's story on top of that.
Yeah,
which is just like it's just.
Like, and they apparently they want to fill in like Ellie and Joel's stuff as well between 1 and 2. That's a lot. They've also got to do on top of everything else.
Even when I was playing Last of Us 2, and then that scene with Abby happened where in the cinema, and then it switched over to Abby, and then you realise shit. I'm halfway through this game.
Yeah, I was near the end.
That part you've already done more than what you've done in Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
And I did not expect it to be another half a game as Abby. But I loved it.
Mate. Like, this is one of my favourite games ever.
I never knew there would be a game that I'd enjoy, like I'd love more than Last of Us 1.
Yeah, I don't think any of us can say we enjoyed it.
Well, it's not. There's a difference between enjoying it and, you know,
appreciating it,
how appreciating it, knowing how good it is. Yeah, there's people out there who can't tell the difference, and that this made me feel bad, therefore it is bad. No, that's not how that works. The fact that it made you feel something.
I've always said it's one of the best games ever. Like one of the best games I've ever played. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't enjoy myself.
No, you don't.
Playing it.
You don't enjoy that. Playing that game is self-harm. But it's incredible.
But like I've never played a game that's made me feel as much as that game, in many different ways. Like so many emotions during that game.
That game is like shocking.
Like that is gonna make for a fantastic show as well.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to see what
get a lot of that.
Extra bits we get from that. You know what I mean? Like the changes and stuff. Like I think for the majority, the changes in the season 1 have been for the better. It would be crazy to see what they change because there's potential of they could change a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but
we'll have to wait and see. See because a lot of the changes they made were removing gameplay and then justifying the removal of gameplay through other means in the first season, and we'll see what they do in regards to that for from season 2 onwards.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be more than one season. Just no way they can do all that in one season, unless they make it like a 30-episode season. Just go crazy with it.
Yeah, I feel like even if it's 3 seasons, I feel like they need to make the seasons longer either way. I don't think 9 episodes is enough to cover any of.
But they're either way, they're in for a long call on this one. Like, I think they know they've got something special.
Well,
especially after this, they're going to invest.
I'd imagine HBO and Neil Druckmann are looking at it and they're like, "We ain't even done Last of Us 3 yet, and we're already on 2." You know what I mean? So they kind of have to. I feel like spread it out.
I'd be surprised if they've been working on Last of Us 2. Now, the only problem with Neil Druckmann directing these is it's going to take him away from directing the video game.
It's a George R. R. Martin situation. Why is not finishing his fucking books?
No, he doesn't want to. But I don't want him to look at the series and be like, "This is now my priority over the video game."
He's apparently already moved on to his next game.
Oh no, yeah,
I'm hearing it's probably not Last of Us 3.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
maybe it's Uncharted 5.
I don't think. No, they're done with Uncharted. Naughty Dog apparently. If any Uncharted is going to happen, it's going to happen from another studio. That's what I'm hearing.
But it could happen from another studio, but he could still direct it.
Yeah, but
probably
I guess probably not. He's probably busy.
Yeah.
But it'll be. I wonder. I feel like I don't want to get to the point where it's like Game of Thrones, where they get to the point in the show, they get to the end of Last of Us 2, and they haven't got, and they want to do more, but Last of Us 3 isn't out by that point.
No, they need to know where to draw the line.
Yeah.
So this is a big problem with American TV shows. British TV shows don't suffer from this. British TV knows when to stop.
Yeah.
American TV shows don't know when to stop, and they'll keep going, just trying to milk that cow.
I mean, it's kind of
good in
a way, like the fact that we're hearing that we're not going to get season 2 till like 2024 or 2025.
Yeah, not for a long time.
I think we got a while, and I hope in some way Last of Us Part 3 is in development somewhere. Like, you gotta hope it comes out before.
Yeah, if they do a season every 18 months, for example.
Yeah.
And then if they do 3 seasons, so 18, what's that, 3 years? That's almost 5 years. That's long enough.
Yeah.
That's long. That's going to be pushing up to like 2030 almost.
Yeah.
So that's long enough.
And then you get 3 as a game, and then how long do you leave that until you do it as a show?
Do you know what? If they do 3 as a game, and when they do 3 as a game, they'll pretty much start adapting that immediately. Yeah. Maybe even alongside.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
But then they get double sales. Like, oh, you really enjoyed a game? Here's a TV show. Oh, you really enjoyed a TV show? Here's a game.
Well, that's why they've released the remaster.
And they did a very good job, because they like the sales on that remaster went up like 700% after the first episode of the new TV show.
Legit.
But they knew what they were doing with that.
100%.
They really.
I planned to play it alongside, but it didn't happen.
No, I've got it comes out on PC on the 28th. That's what I've been waiting for, and I'm going to replay it as soon as it's out.
It's very good.
I'm going to play Resident Evil 4 first, and then I'll play The Last of Us. Yeah,
when's that out?
Order. 23rd, I think.
Resident Evil 4 close.
Yeah.
To finish other games.
Yeah. To be fair, I fell off of Hogwarts Legacy, and I've just been playing PS2 games for the last 2 weeks, to be honest.
I've been playing Hogwarts. I've been playing a bit of VR.
Yeah, you got the PSVR 2, don't you?
Yeah.
What we should do, we should do the actual video game talk for another episode. We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that in the next podcast, because like we got a lot we've been playing, and it's like I feel like we've got a lot to talk about, but we've already gone for an hour and 20 minutes.
We've gone on for a while now, yeah. So anything more? I'll go back to the question I had at the beginning, well, a bit earlier. TV show or video game, what's better?
That's such a hard question to answer still.
Mm-hmm.
Video game only because... See, if I didn't have those 2 issues with the show, if they weren't there, and then it would probably be the show. Not going to lie. Yeah. I feel like it's easier to digest as the show. Because obviously it's shorter. But like... Definitely. And I feel like it has a lot more emotional beats in the show than it does in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not a biggest fan of the gameplay in the game. Like,
oh really?
I like the gameplay of Last of Us 2, amazing, but like the clunky feel of Last of Us 1, I was never really a fan of.
Joel feels big and slow.
Yeah, I love the game for its story and its characters and its world.
Yeah,
I don't love the game for its gameplay. Like, that's never been a thing for me. So, but I still think I want to say the game.
Yeah,
but that's a very hard decision for me to make.
It's a close.
It's very close.
I'd say the game too, just because you're physically playing it. It puts you more.
You definitely. I feel like you're more invested because
because you're the one doing it. Even though you're playing a character and Joel's just enjoying his own.
You put yourself in those shoes.
You put yourself in their shoes. You're literally putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it brings that's the one thing that video games do better than anything else. Really, it's
immerse yourself.
It forces you to actually not like put yourself in their shoes. You are actually in their shoes, and you're making the things happen that are happening. So I think I do prefer the game still, but that show was amazing. Yeah, that's one of the best shows I've seen for
another thing they also missed. No one ever threw a bottle or a brick ever.
They didn't
in the show, and that really bothered me because they could have just done it once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. We'll all get one of those DiCaprio memes like, oh, look at him. To be fair, the amount of times I was like, oh, every time that anything was created from the video game,
whenever they did, like, can you give me a boost? And they did the boost like they do in the games. I'm like,
Or like when it was like when the script matched perfectly, like the exact same script.
I was literally there mouthing the words with it, like
literally, mate. I was like, oh, this is what's going to say next. This is what they're going to say next, and it did. I was like, that's fucking perfect. I got the good feels when that happened.
Yeah,
that's great. It was great. Oh, so it's such a good show. It's such a good show, and it's just amazing that we've got a video game adaptation here that can be enjoyed without ever touching the video game.
Yeah,
that's another big thing.
Like the fact that so many people are enjoying it that have never heard of the video game, never mind played it. Like they just they heard it's a good show, they watch the show, and even if this show gets people into thinking maybe video game stories can be good, you know what I mean? There's just so many people who think video games are just Tetris and Mario. You know what I mean?
Tetris, Mario, and Sonic, and that's it. Like, they don't understand that they can actually have a fleshed out story. I just don't know.
And if people love this, go play the game if you haven't. Literally,
well, it's going to open up the medium to this sort of thing as well. So I reckon you'll see a lot more of this sort of stuff. Well, you've got the God of War TV show coming out.
Yeah,
it's in production.
See,
and I can't see that being as good, unfortunately.
This is the thing. God of War's with Amazon. My only hope with that is I believe it's been done by the people who do Vikings, and that's a fucking fantastic show.
Oh, is it? I've not seen
that. So hopeful about that one, but fucking Horizon is being done by Netflix.
Yeah.
The people who did Umbrella Academy, and I'm like,
no,
I don't see that fitting.
I don't know about that.
But it's only
I found myself enjoying. Yeah, I found myself enjoying Netflix stuff less and less over the years, to be honest.
Yeah, their shows aren't great. The only one is Stranger Things that's good. And that's because it's their first good one that they did.
Yeah, they do exactly, and they know what they're doing with that. But we barely watch Netflix these days, honestly. The original stuff. It's
a lot of it comes out and it's not good. But even if it is good, it gets cancelled after 2 seasons. So what's the point?
Well, I feel like it's really aimed at a different audience. Like I'm not old, but I feel like it's aimed at a younger audience than me. A lot of that stuff, and I hope that it won't be the case for Horizon. To be fair,
it's like Horizon. It'll come out. It will come out, and even if it's good, it will come out, and it will come out all in one go, and people will talk about it for a week, and then no one will care,
and then forget about it. It's kind of like the normal Horizon games. Jesus. They know what they're doing there. Woo! Sony, what are you doing? They know what they'll do. They'll bring it out at the same time as a season of the new Stranger Things. That's what they'll do. Just to keep it original.
But yeah,
oh god,
that's it. This is what I think. This show, especially Last of Us, is like having it weekly and be like an event on the Monday. Sunday night for Americans and Monday for us.
For these types of shows, I think this works way, way better. I enjoy that weekly conversation that we end up having.
Yeah. It's just the best way of doing it.
The online presence for it, because it makes you talk about it each episode rather than the whole thing.
Like, if we were organised with this podcast, we could have done a weekly thing about every episode. We should have probably done that. Yeah, but maybe for season 2. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe for season 2, no, you're right.
But
that'd be good, actually.
Yeah, Sony are trying their best. They got loads of, even the Gran Turismo movies coming out, which apparently actually sounds quite good.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard what the premise of that is?
Well, come on.
So basically, it's based on a real life story of a kid who used to play Gran Turismo, and he was that good. He made it into actual racing. Like, that's a Gran Turismo movie I can get on board with. Because when they first announced it, I was like, "What the fuck are they gonna do?" But like, it's got Orlando Bloom in it. It's got fucking Hopper from Stranger Things in it. It's got really famous people attached to this movie. It's mad.
Well, they've just made a Tetris movie as well, haven't they?
I am so excited for that. That's Apple TV, that is.
What? That is not what I expected that movie.
No, I'm excited for it.
And it is crazy, but it does look good. It does look good. I'm going to watch it.
But they've got Horizon. They've got God of War coming. Uncharted's probably going to get a sequel because the first one actually did quite well.
I feel like Uncharted hands itself.
And you know what? It wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't awful. Still, I think TV shows are the way to go for that sort of stuff.
I think Uncharted makes sense for a movie because it's more bombastic. Like, it's based off Indiana Jones style kind of stuff.
They did too much in the first movie. They went straight to all the Uncharted 4 stuff, even though it's his first real adventure.
Because I think they want to try and make their own Uncharted.
Yeah,
I
think it's going to end up being just. I think the next Uncharted movie probably will get a few quips to the games, but it'll probably be an original thing.
I prefer that, to be honest.
Which is fine. It's basically a new Indiana Jones at that point, isn't it?
Yeah. And everyone loves Tom Holland, so that's going to do well. Have we got doing anything else? I think that's
they're making a Twisted Metal TV.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Have you seen who's in that?
Who is it?
Anthony fucking Mack is the star.
Really? The star?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got the Sandman from Spider-Man. You've got a bunch of other people here as well who you like. What? You're too famous to be in a Twisted Metal TV show on Peacock TV. Yeah. What the fuck? Can you imagine if it's good?
Imagine if it's good.
I'm kind of I don't know I'm looking at who's attached to it, and I'm like, this could be a good time.
Some crazy,
if it's funny
sort of thing,
then that's what I'm 100% in.
I think they're going to lean into the humour of it. It's the only thing you can really do that sort of thing. Yeah. Can't you, at the end of the day?
It's weird. It's on Peacock.
So we'll have to just give it a go. It's going to be one of those ones, isn't it?
Yeah. Will we get a weekly Twisted Metal podcast? We'll see.
Imagine if we all come out at the same time. God. Oh God. Never mind. But right, and I think we'll leave it there then anyway.
Yeah, man. That was Last of Us season 1.
That was our Last of Us season 1 overview.
God, 2 thumbs up. It's very good. If you haven't seen it and you've somehow got to the end of this, go watch it. And even though you spoiled,
get people to watch it. It's very, very good. It's very good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it will be in your local regions, but just go and find out and then watch it.
Yeah. But yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Last of Us show, and whether you think Twisted Metal will be any good.
Right, take care, guys.
Probably guess what the comments are going to be for that one.
Oh no.
But yeah. Bye, guys. Like and subscribe and all that. Bye.
All that jazz.